Welcome to the In the Court Show. I'm your host, Mr. B. Today we have a very exciting show for you. If you are a sports fanatic like myself, then you have a great appreciation for excellence in sports. There is no other person that personifies this more than Coach Bill Belichick, who won count it, eight total Super Bowls, two as an assistant coach and and six as the head coach of the New England Patriots. Now, with him came a lot of controversy. There was some Deflategate stuff that came out because I think a lot of the people that didn't like seeing the Patriots win so consistently was trying to find something to stain them. But today, Bill Belichick was snubbed from being casted as or voted as a first ballot Hall of Fame coach. Now, there's never been any coach in league history that's accomplished what he has accomplished. And for whatever reason, the NFL saw fit to snub him out of his selection for the first ballot Hall of Fame. So it is causing a stir online. There are plenty of haters who agree with the snub, who's saying, well, he should have gotten a tap on the hand, even though the issue was already litigated. The team faced the fine and all that stuff. And the following year, Coach Belichick and the New England Patriots went 17-0. They dominated the league and made an example. And then he went on to win 3 additional championships with the team. He's ranked virtually first in every category that you could think of, from most wins to reaching the most AFC championships. Just go down the list. This man has accomplished it. But now there's this whole controversy. So now what we'll do is we'll go ahead and listen to some of the stories about this particular matter and see if it was merited. Now, some people made the case, like Colin Cowherd, that when you rub people the wrong way, when you don't give certain people, like the media, interviews, or if you're short with them, then, you know, you're going to get your karma one way or another because you're in a people's business. While I think there's some validity to what he's saying, don't be an asshole as you climb up the ranks in life. People remember, you know, how you treated them, and it may eventually come back to bite you. I still think that should not negate your performance. Sometimes, if all things being equal, we need to gauge and judge the fruit or the performance of someone's work. Then you have to call a ball and a strike. In terms of this man's work and what he accomplished, he deserved to be casted as a first ballot Hall of Fame coach.
One of the GOATs, a Hall of Famer himself, a man who's a 2-time Super Bowl champion, a national champion coach and player in college, living legend, TV icon, ladies and gentlemen, Coach Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, Coach!
How you doing, Coach?
Man, how are you doing?
I'm fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us. So we put the request in to talk to you because we thought you were obviously perfect for the moment as a Hall of Fame coach, but also with what you said last night on your Twitter account, where you said if they're going to be using Spygate as an excuse for this entire thing, they're going to have to dig into basically everybody's stuff who is potentially trying this. Could you elaborate a little bit more on how common this type of thing is, and why did it make you so upset that they left Bill Belichick off the first ballot Hall of Fame?
Well, first of all, you know, I think this tarnishes everything in the Hall of Fame. All of the inductees, everybody in the Hall of Fame, just because of 10 or 11 or 12 ignorant, jealous assholes who did not vote for him. I think it tarnishes everything about the Hall of Fame. As far as if they're using the excuse of the Spygate, before they had the electronic communication between the sideline and the players, everybody was trying to steal signals. A lot of people would not admit to it, but every team had an individual trying to get the signals or doing one thing or another. And then one of the scouts for the Kansas City Chiefs talked to us. They said, hey, we've got the system. Howard Mudd is the best at doing it. They had a camera and they would film the opponent's signal caller and match it up with the film and then they would get their signals. And we noticed, we watched the Kansas City huddle, the offensive guard would look to the sideline, and Howard would go ahead and give them a signal, whether or not it was, man coverage or zone coverage, et cetera. A few seconds to get the signal in. Like I said, we really weren't very good at it, and we were spending more time on it than we needed. So we said, to hell with it, we stopped doing it.
But I appreciate you coming out and saying, like, hey, this is much more common than we would believe, because I feel like I've been an NFL fan my entire life, growing up in Pittsburgh, playing for the Colts, now talk about it every single day. I don't think until I saw your tweet really how prevalent it was. And I knew Coach Howard Mudd, rest in peace. So I think I appreciate you saying that, being transparent about it, but also explaining from a point of like, hey, if that is going to be the reason why you hold this guy out, you might need to look into some other people that are potentially in here. What is the precedent you think going forward here, Coach? Because you said this diminishes all this with how it is. Like, does this change going forward? What are your thoughts on the Hall of Fame as a whole? Because there is a lot of people saying the Hall of Fame's like fraud now, which is kind of what you were scared of happening as a Hall of Famer yourself, and us all understanding what it is.
Well, I talked to 2 or 3 of the voters today, and of course, every voter is going to say, I voted for him, which is bullshit. A bunch of them are lying. The thing about it, I guess the process, they had 5 candidates and they could vote for 3. And I think some of the voters probably say, well, it's a slam dunk. Bill Belichick's going to get in with all of his accolades, 8 Super Bowls, 6 of the head coach, on and on and on. And so they assumed, that he was going to get in. So they voted for one of the candidates that they liked. And then it fell through the cracks that he didn't get in. But it's a crying shame, because one thing, I know Bill personally, and no one knows the history of the NFL more than Bill Belichick. No one loves the NFL more than Bill Belichick. And it just pissed me off that it wasn't a slam dunk, him going into the Hall of Fame. He'll go in next year, granted. And when everybody says, well, oh, hey, he's got Tom Brady. Well, very few Hall of Fame coaches, go in without a great quarterback. So to use that, well, it's Tom Brady. Hey, Tom Brady needed Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick needed Tom Brady.
Yeah, I think those are all very valid points. And for him going in next year, we're just going to act like it's his first ballot next year, Jimmy. You think we should all just agree to do that whenever we talk about it? First ballot Hall of Famer here, Bill Belichick, as we move forward.
It ought to be. I saw him at the national championship game, Miami and Indiana. And by the way, congratulations, Indiana, and Miami had a great year as well. And Bill, I walked away and I was talking to him, and he said, hey, I hope to see you in the Hall this year. Oh. And, I thought it was going to be an automatic, so I chartered a jet. I was going to go up there. To hell with it, I'm not going this year.
Jimmy!
Yep.
This can't be what this becomes.
Business
we need to stop this. We need to correct this. Okay, AJ we can't have Jimmy Johnson not going to the Hall of Fame. Jimmy, you are football, brother. You are just a part of ball. College player, national champion in Arkansas, coach, national champion. We're doing the entire thing. 2-time for America's team. You are a part of ball. Okay, so we need to make sure that you are not getting turned off by this entire thing. We got to make sure we fix this, Jimmy. We got to fix this thing. We got to make it right somehow.
I love football. Now that I've retired from Fox, I've got 4 TV set up. I've got 12 hours on Saturday, 12 hours on Sunday. No one comes in the room. I only leave the room to get a little bit of food. I love football, and I appreciate, greatness. And that's what you had with Bill Belichick, greatness. I'm a coach, and if some of the players don't get in, it doesn't bother me that much if a player doesn't get in. But for a great football coach not to get in first ballot, that was wrong.
All right, well, hopefully they make it up to you. AJ has a question.
Coach, have you and any of your fellow Hall of Famers, have you spoken to anybody, you reached out to anybody at the Hall of Fame and tried to, I don't know, kind of wrap your head around this whole situation?
I've talked to a few people. In fact, Troy and I texted back and forth a little bit, and everybody is just shocked that Bill didn't go in first ballot. I haven't talked to a single individual that's even on the borderline. Every one of them saying they're shocked that he didn't go in. Look at all the accolades. Look at what he did. That's the reason why someone goes into the Hall of Fame.
Let's actually read some of these accolades. Just for shits and giggles. Bill Belichick, most Super Bowl wins, 8. Most Super Bowl wins as a head coach, 6. Most Super Bowl wins as a general manager, 6. So he should be going in as a Hall of Fame coach and a Hall of Fame management. Most Super Bowl appearances as a head coach, 9. Most Super Bowl appearances, period, 12. Most playoffs wins as a head coach, 31. Most playoff appearances as a head coach, 19. He's tied for first. Most divisional championships as a head coach, 17. 3 times AP NFL Coach of the Year. NFL 2000s All-Decade Team. NFL 2010s All-Decade Team. NFL 100th Anniversary All-Time Team. This is one guy. This is one guy, and that's all of his accolades, and he got snubbed.
And I just don't understand it.
All those things that you're looking there are earned, on the field. The accolade to get into the Hall is something that other people are going to judge upon. Obviously, there's some personal biases or lapses in the process that they miss it. Hopefully, they're able to get it right because just like Coach Jimmy Johnson, living legend, is saying, there's a lot of people saying, well, to hell with the Hall of Fame as a whole if Bill Belichick is not considered a Hall of Famer. And we can't have that. We got to preserve these things. Pro Bowl has to remain. The Hall of Fame we need something, Jimmy. We lost this Pro Bowl. Pro Bowl's gone forever, Jimmy.
Pat, I know that, Bill at times, he wasn't the most friendly guy to some of the media. Yeah. And so maybe some of them voted against him, because they didn't get an interview of him. I don't know. Maybe there's a little tension between Bob Kraft and Bill, and maybe there was some lobbying there. I don't know the reason for it. I don't need to know the reason for it. But it should not have happened.
Yeah, Pro Football Hall of Fame feels like it.
Okay, shifting. That was his interview initially. Now we're gonna shift the conversation over to Colin Cowherd.
UFC era continues live from Australia. Featherweight champ Alexander.
Welcome to the Herd's official YouTube channel. Make sure to like and subscribe. Don't forget to check out the Colin Cowherd podcast, all of our NFL instant reactions, and more football content.
He was more of a critic.
Well, it's been the story of the day, Bill Belichick, who will get into the Hall of Fame, but it shocked a lot of people that he did not get in. Now, we have talked about this today. The strange thing about Hall of Fame voting is they just tweaked the voting. So now coaches can get in 1 year after they leave the sport. Players, doesn't matter if you're the greatest player in the world, you got to wait 5 years. But we said earlier, Don Shula is the winningest coach ever. He had to wait 5 years. For the record, Bill Walsh, arguably the most innovative coach ever, did not get in the first time he was eligible. Vince Lombardi didn't. And Joe Gibbs, who won 3 Super Bowls with 3 different quarterbacks, did not. But there's a sense with Belichick, I mean, come on, he's got this cachet of rings. And again, I would have voted him in. I get it. But my argument is, when you start looking at people who didn't get in, and they had to wait 5 years to begin with.
A really good point that Bill, that Jimmy Johnson raised about Bill Belichick. The guy's in his probably late 60s, if not 70s. For him to have to wait 5 years before he can even come up for selection, there's no guarantee the guy will live long enough to see or to be honored like that. And there is a such thing as giving a person their flowers while they are alive and well to accept it, and giving him the opportunity to see that his work that he devoted his whole life for. I mean, the guy comes from a coaching family. Coach, like, he devoted his life. I'm pretty sure maybe his own personal family may have felt as if he spent more time coaching others than being a figure in his household. And for him to have put so much in, go through so much, preparing, making that team look polished, literally creating a legacy there in New England, and to be snubbed like that, almost as if to say that his efforts, his time, his passion, his contributions to the game of football could be overlooked by some people who's in their feelings simply because he didn't give them an He expected excellence, and he went at all odds. He pushed those guys to be excellent. And what did he do? 6 championships, 2 3-peats. There are certain people that are built as type A personalities. They don't care about your feelings. They just care about the outcome. And that needs to be rewarded, right? For a guy like that to accomplish so much and for him to be snubbed by some posh reporter with their nose in the air or somebody in their feelings who are making excuses, and none of the people who voted against him have the balls to say, we didn't think he deserved to be first ballot for these issues, right? What you hear Jimmy Johnson say is, don't use that he cheated when it was an industry practice for all teams to videotape other teams' play calls. Like he said, it started with Kansas City, and Kansas City trying to get him put onto it. That was way before Bill Belichick was winning championships. They won in the 90s. And he's saying back in the 90s, Kansas City was telling us about these play calling tactics to learn how the other team was calling plays. He was put onto it. So it was an industry practice. And Jimmy Johnson himself admits, hey, we did it too. Or we attempted to do it. Well, we didn't have much success at doing it. So what he's saying is this is something that's commonly done around the league, but because they were trying to find a way to put a stain on this man, stain on the organization that is the New England Patriots, they try to put this asterisk next to all his accomplishments. Still doesn't defy the fact that this man continued to get success, right? Year after year after year, made 17 playoff appearances, winning the AFC championships for 17 years. What is going on?
We tried.
Colin Cowherd fan, but you could tell he's being a hater in this particular clip because he's trying to convince a guy who is a credible person in football, a Hall of Famer himself, that it shouldn't be a big deal that this dude didn't get selected as first ballot Hall of Fame. And he's trying to raise all these arguments as to, well, all these other great coaches didn't get selected great first ballot Hall of Fame. None of them had the credentials that Bill Belichick had. He surpassed all of their credentials, with the exception of probably Don Shula, who probably won more games than him. But everything else, he surpassed them, right? But he's trying to make the argument that this isn't a big deal. But you can see that, Jimmy Johnson is serious about this because he's a proven coach. He is a guy who loves football, one at the college level, one at the pro level, and him and Bill Belichick are friends. That guy, when he questions Bill Belichick about football, knows that Bill Belichick knows what he's talking about because he's a historian of the game. He actually follows it, practices it, has coached some of the greatest, Lawrence Taylor and some others, Tom Brady. The guy's been intertwined in football from very young, and he grew up in it. So for him to feel so passionate to say, I'm boycotting the Hall of Fame, if Bill Belichick don't get selected as a first ballot Hall of Famer, I'm not even going. I chartered a jet to go support him. The fact that I know he got snubbed, I'm not even going. It's a real thing for him. He's utterly offended because it's almost like to say, if this guy who's at the top of the mountain doesn't get a nod, if he can get snubbed, then who is worthy? There's nobody that's worthy. And somebody made a point earlier while they were talking to Colin. He said, sometimes these selections are way too wordy, too much questions being asked. The sole question that needs to have all the weight on it is this guy a Hall of Famer, yes or no? If he is, for what he accomplished, for what he's done, for his impact on the game of football? The answer is yes, he gets in. If he's not, the answer is no, he doesn't get in. No one can deny that Bill Belichick deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. This whole, well, he'll get in next year and all of that, that's you trying to stain the man's accomplishments, and it's crap. As a avid Patriots fan, I am disgusted that they treated him like that. But it goes to tell you that the life we live sometimes is just not fair, right? Life is not fair. There are things you deserve to have and you get overlooked, you know? And if it doesn't take people standing up and saying, no, that's not acceptable, right? We're going to tune out because what you're doing is not right. It's not just. And just because you got your own little personal vendettas, you know, you're in your feelings because the man didn't give you an interview or whatever the crappy reason is that you're using to not vote him in, that needs to be overruled, because there is no one that if you took a survey right now and asked America, should Bill Belichick be a first ballot Hall of Fame coach? I believe you will get more than 51% of the 300 million population in America to say yes. So how the heck can 50 people or 11 people out of 50 not come up with that, what is an easy answer for anybody with common sense? I don't know. This is a man that knows football. He just gave you all the key metrics that a head coach should have. Is he a good situational coach? That's, you got 2 minutes left, you're down by 1, you got to cover 70 yards. What is the game plan that you draw up for a situation like that? Or you're in a Super Bowl facing the number one running team. You got Marshawn Lynch. You don't call a timeout. You let them freeze themselves. In a situation, your judgment allows the players to play because you've rehearsed these scenarios so much. He prepares well, meaning the team look polished. When you watch the Patriots play, they look fine-tuned, they're polished. People aren't jumping off sides. There's not a lot of penalties. This guy has refined that team, have coached that team, have rehearsed that team to a place of excellence, which is why they constantly won. They dominated their division for over a decade, right? Then you have a guy who actually knows how to use the pieces he has. Tom Brady, with the exception of Randy Moss, didn't have no Hall of Fame wide receivers that he was throwing the ball to, but they were always competitive at all times. Always. He always put those guys in positions to utilize their strengths, right, and to minimize their weaknesses. He studied well. He coached well. He motivated well. He set a culture of excellence that everyone had to wrap their mind around, had to be subjected to. For them to somehow, some way try to diminish this man's accomplishments is BS. It's really not. It's not fair. It's not right. And this is from the mouth of a Hall of Fame coach himself, who has won 3 championships, one at the college level, who is a personal friend of the guy, who understands the business and knows how the whole thing goes, who tells you that this is BS. The man deserves it. This isn't just my opinion as a fan, or all the people with common sense who thinks that this dude got snubbed. This is a Hall of Fame coach himself.
Textualize all this stuff.
Okay, we're going to transition. The last clip we'll show is a Stephen A. Smith clip where he talks about the same thing. I'm trying to get some of the biggest voices in media to kind of weigh in on this particular subject matter.
Today is one of the most disgraceful days in sports history. It's a disgrace. Now, you're going to have haters out there that are going to refute that. They're going to tell you, so what, that Bill Belichick was not a first ballot Hall of Famer, courtesy of Seth Wickersham, doing a tweet on X earlier, he said a stunner from Don Van Natter Jr. and me, Bill Belichick is not a first ballot Hall of Famer. He didn't get elected this year. The 8-time champion failed to get 40 out of the 50 votes required for induction. It's a disgrace. The Hall of Fame, if they don't correct this decision, this egregious error, this crime in sports parlance, the Hall of Fame shouldn't even matter anymore. Clearly, it's not about credentials. It's not about credentials. It's about being liked. It's about being massaged. It's about having your ass kissed. It's about things that don't have anything to do with results, which Bill Belichick has clearly produced. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an 8-time champion. He's an 8-time champion overall. 2 Super Bowl championships as a defensive coordinator. 6 Super Bowl championships as a head coach. Everybody wants to bring up Spygate and Deflategate. The man won 3 Super Bowls since then. He is universally recognized as one of, if not the greatest coach in the history of the sport. He's one of one. And to have him on the outside as a first ballot Hall of Famer, I thought it was a crime when T.O. wasn't a first ballot Hall of Famer as a wide receiver, considering the fact that he retired with over 15,000 receiving yards and as one of the top 3 greatest wide receivers in the history of football. There's only 2 names that got mentioned before T.O., Terrell Owens. That was Jerry Rice and that was Randy Moss. Outside of that, you can't put anybody ahead of Terrell Owens. I thought that was a crime. I thought that was criminal. I thought that was egregious. But, I mean, this is taking the cake. The greatest coach in the history of football. 12 Super Bowl appearances overall. First all time. 31 postseason wins. First all time. 17 division titles. First all time. 8 combined Super Bowl wins. First all time. 3-time AP, Associated Press, Coach of the Year, tied for second with Don Shula. Tied for second behind Don Shula, who had 4. 333 wins, including the postseason. Second only to Don Shula. Won 65% of all of his games. The standard personified. And he's not in the Hall of Fame. That building might as well be burnt to ashes. It means nothing. Fact. To me, it should mean nothing to any of y'all. If you can't put Bill Belichick in as a first ballot Hall of Famer, who can you put in there? Who has his resume? Who's this person? Now we're hearing reports, well, you know what? Bill Polian, who just embarrassed himself, and I got to look up his age. Wow. Griff, somebody look up his age for me, please. I think Bill Polian, the former executive with the Indianapolis Colts in Buffalo as well, I think he's about 80, 83. He's 83 years old. Listen to what I'm about to read to y'all, ladies and gentlemen. Over the airways of Mad Dog Sports Radio, Sirius XM right now. In an interview with ESPN on Tuesday night, that was last night, Polian denied telling fellow voters that Belichick should serve a 1-year penance for Spygate. But he said he heard his fellow voters, quote unquote, float the idea. But he insisted he didn't agree or disagree with the proposal. Polian said he voted for Kraft, meaning Robert Kraft, owner for the New England Patriots. All right? And even spoke up on his behalf during the deliberations, saying Kraft had no knowledge of the Spygate scheme. Polian added that he could not remember with 100% certainty if he voted for Belichick, saying he was 95% sure he voted for the coach and a player, most likely L.C. Greenwood. Quote, I was shocked to learn Bill didn't get in, Polian said. He deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Clown. Sit down. I'm going to be respectful to my elders. Sit down.
I won't.
in the history of football. There's only 2 names that got mentioned before Terrell Owens. That was Jerry Rice, and that was Randy Moss. Outside of that, you can't put anybody ahead of Terrell Owens. I thought that was a crime. I thought that was criminal. I thought that was egregious. But, I mean, this is taking the cake. The greatest coach in the history of football. 12 Super Bowl appearances overall. First all time. 31 postseason wins. First all time. 17 division titles. First all time.
I had to bring it back for him to repeat these stats out loud for people to hear. And this guy, Bill Polian, whoever this bum guy is, with his own vendettas, he can't remember if he voted for the guy or not. Come on, bro. Grow a spine. If you don't like him, say, I didn't vote for him for these reasons. Be a man about it. Grow some balls. Speak up. Don't be a little punk. I didn't like him. He did X, Y, and Z that rubbed me the wrong way. I wasn't a go for first ballot Hall of Fame. Stand 10 toes down on what you believe. But now you snubbed the guy and probably play a major part in getting other people to snub him. And now you're trying to like weasel your way out of it. Oh, I can't quite remember if I voted for him. I remember that I voted for Robert Kraft and advocated for him, but I can't quite remember if I voted for him. What? What do you mean? You can't quite remember? You remember every other event that happened that day, but you don't remember what your vote was, what vote you casted? Clown.
I'm going to be respectful to my elders. Sit down. Nobody should want to hear from Bill Polian. Here's the reason why. The votes just took place 2 weeks ago. You don't remember whether you voted for Bill Belichick or not?
That's a clown.
We're supposed to believe that 2 weeks ago you can't remember, you can't recall what your vote was. Now, you're saying you're 95% sure. Why not 100% sure? You're saying that he deserved to be in the Hall of Fame and you had a vote. So how come it can't be 100% sure? What the hell do you mean you don't recall? Sit down. Sit down. I'm being respectful to my elders, ladies and gentlemen. The man's 83 years of age. Sit down. We don't want to hear from you because you're clearly lying. You're clearly lying. The hell you mean you don't remember? Makes no sense whatsoever. By the way, as an aside, him supporting Robert Kraft, getting into the Hall of Fame, I am a friend of Robert Kraft, the owner for the New England Patriots. I love the man. There's no reason why he shouldn't have been in the Hall of Fame already. If Jerry Jones is in the Hall of Fame with 3 Super Bowl rings, why the hell isn't Kraft in there as an owner with 6?
What are we talking?
It makes no sense whatsoever. Of course, Robert Kraft deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Let me just get that as an aside.
So see, what people whoever's not paying attention to this, there's a pattern here. The attack is across the board. It's not just about Bill Belichick. They're attacking Robert Kraft, who's probably a revered. He should probably the top gold standard of ownership for an NFL team. I mean, let's be serious. From the time the guy acquired the team to what they've accomplished this day, and then his team's about to go to the Super Bowl again with a new coach and brand new players. That's excellence. So this is a question with the owner. Now it's a question with the coach. Now what? What next? Tom Brady with 7 Super Bowl championships, more than anybody else. There's going to be a question with that too. He's going to be snubbed too. It's ridiculous.
Back to Bill Belichick. What possible excuse can you have? And this is where we get to the fourth estate. Let me be very, very clear. We're talking about Bill Belichick, right? Let us understand. Bill Belichick did not get voted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in his first year of eligibility, falling short of the 40 out of 50 votes, 80% required for induction. It was his first appearance on the ballot following his exit from the NFL after the 2023 season. According, obviously, the outcome stunned the football world. Reached the Super Bowl 12 times. I already gave you the rest of the stats, okay? It is believed that at least 11 voters left him off their ballots entirely. Bill Belichick was described by people close to him as puzzled and disappointed when informed he had missed. Let me be very, very clear. I want names. I want faces. I want positions. I want the publication that they represent or work for. I don't give a damn who it is. I want to know who the hell it is. And I'm going to have somebody on at the top of hour number 2 who actually applauds this crime, this miscarriage of justice All right? He didn't have a vote in determining whether Bill Belichick was going to be a Hall of Famer or not. But he's applauding those who are. And I can't wait to talk to him at the top of hour number 2. But for the purposes of this immediate discussion with this opening monologue, I want to know their names. I want to see their faces. I want them plastered up as mugshots. It is egregious. That makes no sense. What level of credibility does the Fourth Estate or any of the voters have? Former players and executives that have a vote, along with members of the media. Who the hell are you to keep Bill Belichick out of the Hall of Fame with his credentials? Who the hell are you? Where's the merit? Is it a meritocracy? Evidently not. Evidently, you could be the greatest ever. And because you're not liked, because you were a bit truculent or acerbic or dismissive of the media from time to time, that's grounds for not awarding you as a first ballot Hall of Famer, even though your resume was so impeccable that it can't be denied. There shouldn't even exist a Hall of Fame without Bill Belichick, if he's eligible to be in, which he is now. And let me also get this off my chest. If you're going to leave Bill Belichick out, and the excuse is stuff like Spygate from 2007 or so. By the way, the New England Patriots went undefeated that season afterwards, after all of that controversy about Spygate. They went undefeated during the regular season and went undefeated through the playoffs and lost in the Super Bowl to the Giants. That's an aside. What I'm saying is this. If you're going to leave Bill Belichick out of the Hall of Fame because of Spygate and inflated footballs like Deflategate or deflated footballs, what you going to do with Tom Brady? Who is going to show up with a straight face and keep Tom Brady out of the Hall of Fame? Is he next?
Yeah.
He's a 7-time champion as a Super Bowl, as a coach, as a quarterback.
That's what they're playing.
He's a 7-time champion. You going to leave Tom Brady out of the Hall of Fame? We've been having conversations as to whether or not Eli Manning was going into the Hall of Fame, whether Phillip Rivers is going into the Hall of Fame. We already know that Peyton Manning is already there. Drew Brees is going in there. So are you going to keep Tom Brady out of the Hall of Fame as a first ballot Hall of Famer? They'd burn the building down. The Hall of Fame would be reduced to ashes if that happened. You can't do that. But somehow, some way, you're going to keep Bill Belichick out, who coached him to those 6 Super Bowl championships, who oversaw the franchise, who made sure he had a defense and the special teams to support and buffer him, who ran football operations for the Patriots for the better part of the last 23 years. That same man that won 6 Super Bowl championships, that got to 9 Super Bowls, you're going to summarily dismiss him as a Hall of Famer? You should be ashamed of yourselves. And anybody who supports that should be ashamed of themselves. This is a crime. This is a miscarriage of justice in the world of sports. What are you going to do next? Going to keep Michael Jordan out of the Hall of Fame? That's what you're going to do? Not that you can now, because he's already in. But you get my point. LeBron James, he ain't going to go to the Hall of Fame. Steph Curry ain't going to go to the Hall of Fame. Shohei Ohtani, he ain't going into the Hall of Fame someday. I mean, this is so bad, so awful. It's hard to put into words.
That was Stephen A. Smith weighing in. I mean, I think it's been said here across the board. This is BS. It's not right. The NFL is trying to stain this man's career. And listen, as a guy who's also a Penn State football fan, Joe Paterno died because, you know, the actions of other people ended up staining his career accomplishments. I think he died early as a result of it. This is the type of thing that might give somebody the stress to kill the guy early because, you know, for people who their whole life has been football, that's all they know. So of course they want their colleagues and their peers to acknowledge their accomplishments. And I'm not saying that they won't eventually do so, but the fact that the moment his name came up with all the accolades this man had, for him not to have been selected immediately is to me a travesty. But what say you? I invite you to weigh in on the conversation. If you're not already a subscribed member of the Intercourse Show, I ask that you like and subscribe to the show and you let your voice be heard and you weigh in on this conversation. I am yours truly, Mr. B, and until we speak again, I wish you well.